Back in 2018, the image of who I was had completely lost its colour. I had no friends, I had no job, I couldn't drive, and I had just come off the worst year of my life to that point. I had just finished my first year of university, which was marked by a sense of brutal loneliness, and that was made all the more confusing by the fact that I was living with 7 other people. I was constantly surrounded by people, yet constantly felt completely alone. I was walking down a very dark path by that point. However, just 4 months later, I was performing stand-up comedy to a packed-out crowd full of people. And after that, I went on to make a close friend on every single inhabited continent, including the Arctic Circle. And in this video, I want to share with you exactly how I use music, film, and literature to change my life in this dramatic manner, basically overnight, and how you could use art to do the same. Now, I didn't try and fix myself with art on purpose. It's not like I woke up one morning that summer on my holiday from university and was like, yes, artwork, that seems like a very cultured, very brilliant idea. This wasn't some kind of calculated, high-minded plan that I had. I was an 18-year-old loser at this time, and I had the mindset of an 18-year-old loser. I woke up every morning angry, frustrated, and crashing out. I was in no position to come up with some kind of intelligent plan to change my life dramatically. What actually happened to me that summer was I completely randomly stumbled across 3 pieces of artwork. Kanye West's self-titled album, Yay, Stanley Kubrick's classic film Dr. Strangelove, and Viktor Frankl's account of surviving the Holocaust, Man's Search for Meaning. Now, this is a very weird combination of artworks. What do a rap album about being bipolar, a black and white comedy film about nuclear apocalypse, and a survivor's account of the Holocaust possibly have in common? And even more than that, how do they possibly relate to what I was going through in my life back then? Well, what you first need to realize is that everybody can be creative. That's not just my opinion, that is a scientific fact. Your brain is split in 2. The left side deals more with routines and tasks, and the right side is more responsible for creativity and building a big picture perspective of the place that you're in. And what I learned that summer is that if you feed that more creative part of yourself with new symbols, sounds, images, and artworks, then it will spit out a new perspective on your situation. Now, during that summer, I wasn't focused on taking lessons from the art or analysing each piece critically, with a monocle, a top hat, and a tobacco pipe. Instead, what seemed to happen was that my brain naturally caught on to one theme from each of the artworks that was relevant to my life. From the album, this would have been the idea of letting go of limiting beliefs and labels. And from the film, this would have been realising that everybody is prone to stupidity, even authority figures who are in charge of nuclear weapons. And from the book, which is most interesting of all, I think, is I didn't take away any of the more romantic ideas about suffering during the Holocaust, or even the famous quote, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Not at all. Instead, I took away a more boring, dry part of the book. You see, Viktor Frankl, in addition to surviving the Holocaust, was also a practicing psychologist. And he presented a lot of his psychological ideas in the book. And I took away one of these that he presented to help people overcome general anxiety disorders. Now, in total, my creative brain took these 3 themes and synthesized them into a completely new perspective on the situation that I found myself in my life. Now, as a result of developing this new perspective by watching the artworks, I put much less pressure on myself to impress other people. The artworks made me realize that this was a huge source of my stage fright beforehand. Now, stage fright was something I had dealt with for about 7 years, and I found that it basically vanished overnight after developing this new perspective. The other result of this was I let go of everything that I once knew or believed about myself. All the old labels that I used to use to describe myself, I stopped using. I no longer describe myself as a introverted person or a quiet person or an anxious person or even a teetotal person, because I don't drink alcohol and I live in Ireland. That's a pretty big deal, but it can lead to a lot of limiting beliefs that come with it. So these and all of the other labels that I used to use on myself that didn't actually help me, I let go of. I was just content with being who I was. I realized that I was just as capable of being absurd as anyone else was. And that's the big idea of this video. If you can fuel your creative brain with new and interesting artworks, then it will be more able to generate a new perspective on the situation that you find yourself in. You will be able to paint a new picture of who you are or the context that you find yourself in because of taking in this artwork. Now, you shouldn't just take this from me. I'd like to present to you at this point of the video a similar testimony from the great Italian goalkeeper Gianluigi Buffon. Now, Buffon is someone who is incredibly wealthy, very, very successful, and highly regarded as one of the best in his position, in his field. However, at the height of his career, he came down with a bout of medically prescribed depression. And the thing that got himself out of this very, very stuck mental place was taking in new artwork.
Mi sono detto, devi cambiare le carte in tavola, devi trovarti delle alternative, devi trovarti degli stimoli nuovi, degli stimoli differenti.
So you can see there, he's looking for an alternative viewpoint to the situation that he's in. He's looking for that new perspective.
E un giorno, uscendo di casa, perché volevo andare in giro, cambiare bar, fare colazione, e un giorno uscendo di casa passai davanti a un museo, chiamiamolo museo, era una galleria d'arte, e c'era scritto mostra di Chagall. E ho detto, ma vado a vedere, ho detto, perché... E allora entrai in questa mostra d'arte e c'erano di questi 200 quadri sicuramente ce ne furono 2 o 3 che mi colpirono particolarmente. Quello che mi rimase più impresso era la passeggiata di Chagall, che è un'immagine normalissima, cioè è per certi aspetti è un'immagine quasi fanciullesca, cioè un disegno che può
There you go, like his unconscious brain's attracted to one or two of these pieces.
fare anche tuo figlio, che però mi ha trasmesso quello di cui avevo bisogno probabilmente in quel momento, cioè mi ha trasmesso allegria, mi ha trasmesso normalità. Stavo vivendo in maniera, diciamo, nichilista la mia vita, cioè non riuscivo a crearmi delle sollecitazioni, degli impulsi alternativi al calcio, no? E quindi facevo allenamento, me tornavo in casa, guardavo la TV, poi andavo a dormire, facevo allenamento, tornavo in casa. E quindi secondo me mi sono proprio appassito come persona. Ho lasciato, diciamo, atrofizzare il cervello e poi tutto, siccome secondo me tutto parte veramente dalla testa, la percezione di felicità, di infelicità, di insoddisfazione, parte tutto dalla testa. Lasciando morire il cervello, secondo me poi lasci morire tutto il corpo, no? E invece poi sono riuscito, a ribaltare le sorti di questa situazione, incominciando proprio a dare impulsi nuovi al cervello.
So there you have it. You can see that Gianluigi was in this very routine-based lifestyle, based around his profession, around his sport, but that was making him feel very, very stuck. As he describes it, he was living in this very nihilistic way. He was repeating the same things and patterns over and over again, and this manifested itself physically as depression. Now you can see the context of that in the whole video, which I'll link below, but just goes to show. I mean, he even describes it himself. The only way out of that was to feed his brain a new impulse, a new perspective. Now, this idea with it being connected to artwork is open to everybody. It's very, very democratic. You could start doing it today. And if you do intend to try something like this, maybe you're feeling stuck in your life right now and you need a new perspective on things, I would recommend doing this over the period of a week or a month or a summer. Set yourself some kind of boundary of time. Now, the reason I suggest this is because of something that I read from the great English comedian John Cleese in his book on creativity. Cleese suggests that in order to come up with a creative idea, you need two things: boundaries of space and boundaries of time. And what that means for you is that when you engage with these artworks, try not to have any distractions around. That's your boundary of space. And your boundary of time is setting that time period, the week, the month, or the summer. And it is an idea that's absolutely worth trying. As I said, everybody has this creative element inside in them. And who knows what manner of beautiful new picture you could paint.